Hi guys, it's Aunt Lori. By now you've gotten your Christmas gift from Uncle Mark and I want to teach you how to use it. So what I need you to go get is your big orange hoop, not the tiny one, but the bigger orange hoop, your pick, and 2 colors of yarn. I sent you Steeler colors and your school colors. So go pick out 2 that you like and then come right back and I'm going to teach you how to use it, okay? I picked the Steeler colors when I made this one. It's a little hat. I made a miniature one. That orange hoop that I told you to go grab, it's gonna make one that should fit you. So let's get started. I'm gonna make the bottom of my hat yellow, just like this one. And again, I'm gonna use a smaller loom and it's gonna make a miniature hat for me because it'll be a lot faster for me to get through the tutorial with you guys. So we're gonna start with my yellow because we're gonna work on this bottom part first. And we are gonna take the yellow yarn and we're gonna take it around our hand like this and we're gonna cross it. You see where it crosses? And you're gonna hold that cross in your other hand. So you're gonna hold it like this so you have a little loop. Stick your thumb and your finger through it. Tip your hand backwards. Pinch your fingers together and then slip off that little loop in the front so it looks like this and it's tied on your finger. Let me show you that again. You're going to take your yarn so it crosses over and you're going to hold it in, you're going to hold it in this hand where the cross is over. Take your thumb and finger through, tip your hand backwards like that, pinch your fingers together so they're touching, and then slip the loop off so it's on your finger. Then you're going to go over and you're going to grab your hoop, and your loom is going to be orange and mine's pink. So you see where this little nubby thing is right there? The one right to the left of it, you're going to attach that and you're going to put the ends to the back. This next step is called casting on, which means we're going to attach our yarn to every peg on our loom, okay? So take your yellow, it's in the back here, and you're going to be working this direction, so to the right. You're going to take it and you're going to wrap it around that next peg once and twice. So it looks like this. So you have 2 little circles on there. Take your bottom one, pop it over the top one. Then you're going to move over to the next peg and you're going to wrap it 1, 2 times. Take your bottom one and put it over your top one. You got that? 2 times, bottom one over your top one. And you're going to do that for every peg until you get back to the beginning and stop right here. Don't go to that beginning peg again. Just stop here and I'll meet you there. You got that all done? It looks like mine now. There's our first peg right there, and yours should look like this. All your yarn should be on every peg. So here's our first one. It has 2 loops on it already. I want you to take that yarn that you just did every peg on, and I want you to take it back to that first one. So it's going to have 3 on there. And you're going to take those bottom 2 this time and flip them both over the top at the same time. So now everybody should just have 1 loop on there. Okay? We're going to call this one row 0 because that's where we just put our yarn on. If you ever forget where your last stitch was, like if you have to get up and do something, the one that you've completed is where your yarn is in the back. So we know we just completed this one because that's where our yarn is in the back. So now we're going to do 16 rows. So maybe grab yourself a little piece of paper so you can make check marks on so you can keep track of the rows that you are. And remember, this is the starting one, the one right here. So this little nubby thing will remind you that you're back to the beginning and you need to make a check mark, okay? So the one to the left of it will be our very last one, and the one to the right of it is number 1 stitch. So what we're going to do now is super easy, okay? We're going to start at our number 1 stitch. Remember, we're in the back there, so we want to go to his neighbor, and we're just going to do 1 time this time because we already have a stitch on the bottom. So we're just going to take that one and pop it over the top. Go to his neighbor, wrap it 1 time, bottom, go to the top. Behind him to his neighbor, wrap it around the front, bottom to the top. Now you're going to do that all the way around. When you get back, you make one check mark. You're going to do that 16 times, okay? And then we'll meet back here after you get those 16 rows done. Are you all done with your 16 rows? And it looks something like this. That's what it should look like. Well, did you lose count and not know how many rows you did? Let me teach you a little trick. You're going to take your swatch here. And you're going to poke it up through the bottom so you're looking at it from the back side. If you pull it apart, do you see how there's like a little ladder that runs down between your stitches? Well, that first row would be row 0, and then if you count the little ladders, that's how many rows you did. So you should have a little ladder, the first row 0, and then you should have 16 more, or 17 total if you count the row 0. Okay, so here's what it looks like now. And this is it coming out the bottom. Well, we want to push that all back up so it's coming out the top. So you kind of flip it inside out. So your rows, you see those rows? Those should be on the inside now, and this part should be on the outside. Okay, and there's our little starting peg. Now, get a little close up here. Do you see how there's circles there at the very top? See those circles? We are just going to take those circles one at a time. Once you do the first one, it gets easier. You take your first circle right where that yarn is poking out. There'll be a circle right to the right of it. You're going to take that one and you're going to put it on that number 1 peg, the one to the right of where this little nubby thing is. Then you'll see your second circle's right beside it. See that? Hopefully you can see it. It's kind of hard. Your second circle, and you're going to put it over the number 2 peg. And you're just going to carefully work that around all the way around till you get back to your first peg. And what you see we're doing is we're folding it in half, basically. And we're attaching it back. So as soon as you get all your edge circles over those hoops, I'll come back and show you what to do next. So it should start to look like this, where you have 2 rows again on there. Okay? Make sure before you start that, your working yarn, the one that's attached to your yarn ball still, you move that to the front. Otherwise, you're going to have it all looped in there, and that's not going to work well. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit so you can see me putting the little circles over. So here's our first little circle beside this. You see it there? Right there. You're going to put that over the number 1 peg. And then your second circle should be right here, right next to it, and you're going to pop that one over. If you just kind of spread it apart a little bit, your next circle should be right there. And you should have enough little circles for one for every single peg. So you just got to be careful that you're putting over the next circle and you're not skipping anybody. Hopefully you guys can see me doing this, and it's making sense. So we're basically folding it in half, making the brim of our hat. See how it's folded in half now? See how our regular hat was folded in half? That's what we're doing. Did you get all your circles on? So now everybody has 2 loops on them again. Then you had this little tail piece of yarn back here, and then this one's what we call our working yarn, the one that's still attached to our yarn ball. I just like to go and I like to make a little knot here. So I'm just going to tie it like I was tying my shoe and give it a tug. Not too tight, but enough that it's a knot, especially that first one, not too tight. The second one, you can give it a little tighter, 2, and really tug on that one tight. And then I do it 1 more time, 3, really tight. Then I get my scissors and this little tail yarn, I clip it pretty close to the knot we just made. We can get rid of that tail yarn. Now that we have 2 on everybody, you know what we got to do. We have to make sure there's only 1 on everybody. So we're just going to take the bottom over the top on every single one of these all the way around until we only have 1 loop on everybody. And it looks like we're going to have to make a second video because we're already done with our first video. So I'm going to stop this one here, and then we'll start another video after you do the bottom over the top of all of these. See you soon.